Hello, everybody. We're going to start as we always do. This is the last session, and just want to quickly run through, mainly for the YouTube people because I'll watch it afterwards. So just to remind everybody that the books are online free, and it's really important to read them. You just go to the iamfree.co.za website, and there you go to the free books site. You'll see the tab at the top of the first page. The audio books are there, which are also really good to listen to. And then this online workshop will be on a playlist and the YouTube channel, which is also, you'll find the link at the top of the I Am Free website. And then the search here button is really very, very good and useful. You just put in what you want to search, and most things come up really well. And then questions, so we can make notes, and I'll do my best to answer them at the end of the session. And donations are always gratefully received, only obviously if financially possible. And the donate button is actually on the website because somebody asked me. So I thought I'd just put that in. All right, so lovely. So let's just take now time. Let's just take some slow, deep breaths. So we breathe in, we hold the breath, we breathe out, and we hold the breath. That lovely rhythmic breaths, just to get into that quiet, peaceful state and connected to our own I Am presence. Now let's listen for our heartbeat. And we know that is the gift of life coming down through the silver cord, through the top of our head, through our pineal gland, and it anchors in that threefold flame. And we can place our attention or our consciousness of that flame right in the center of our chest. So let's listen and feel for that wonderful heartbeat, that pulse of light. It's the gift from our I Am presence of life. And let's just see now that beautiful heartbeat forming a sun, a brilliant, dazzling sun, just as dazzling as the noonday sun. You can imagine a noonday sun so brilliant in the center of our chest, and those billions and billions of rays go out from that sun, and they connect up with all the miniature suns, because every cell of our four earthly bodies, which is conscious and intelligent, a little inner worker, has within it a miniature sun, and they connect up. We can see every sun getting brighter and brighter. We can see and feel the change in our physical body, and also our auras, our emotional body, our mental body, and our etheric body, our soul, feeling that wonderful expansion of the light. And our bodies love the light. It instantly brings happiness and peace. Just visualize our bodies becoming blazing, blazing light. And now we're going to feel our feelings, as we do every week. So important with that feeling of gratitude. Gratitude and love, the highest vibration in the universe. Truly, love is the glue of the universe. Without love, nothing is made manifest. So let's just fill our feelings now with the feeling of gratitude and love. Hand in glove they go. All the many, many blessings that we have on our earthly journeys, often not thanked or loved. Deep gratitude, first and foremost, to our own I Am presence, for life, for giving us this lifetime now. Gratitude and love to the great ascended hosts, Saint Germain and all the great beloved ascended ones, and for these marvelous, marvelous teachings. Gratitude to the great angelic kingdom, Archangel Michael and all his legions of beloved angels, and our own blessed guardian angel. Thank you. Love and gratitude to all the elemental kingdom. Every beloved earth, water, air, and fire elemental. Bless, love, and thank them all. The great directors of those kingdoms, we just send our deepest love and gratitude. They ceaselessly provide for humanity and very rarely loved and thanked. They love to be loved and thanked. The love and gratitude for our loved ones, our families, our homes, and our supply, and all our many blessings in the earthly realm. Thank you. Now we can see these rays now leaving our bodies, and they form a lattice of light. They enfold our entire planet. As we ask our I Am Presence and the Great Ascended Ones to connect up this lattice of light, and it's filled with that feeling of love and gratitude. And that, like just like a blanket, it enfolds our entire planet. Every part of life, every grain of sand, every blade of grass, all the beloved water, the source, the mountains, the animals, insects, every part of life receiving that feeling of love and gratitude on behalf of ourselves and all mankind. We make this call. Just imagine every part of life, every bird, everyone feeling that glorious feeling of love and gratitude. And now we're going to call by the power and the authority of our I Am Presence to you, beloved Archangel Michael and beloved Commander Conrad, the great beloved angel that works with him, and your mighty crystal blue flame and your legions of angels, that you surround us, each one, with that mighty, impenetrable crystal blue flame. Surround our earthly bodies, our homes, that of our loved ones, and all the constructive people on the earth. And we ask, beloved Archangel Michael and your beloved angels, that only the very highest orders of light from the beloved Ascended Master realm be with us now. And we call to beloved Lord Kuthumi and Lord Lanto, the great world teachers, and all the great ones that choose to assist us during this session, to charge into us your Ascended Master consciousness, your comprehension, your understanding, your memory, that whatever we learn, it be firmly embedded in our memories and our minds and our consciousness. So we become more and more these beacons of light. Wherever we put our feet on this sweet earth, we bring that comfort, that peace, that love, that understanding, that tolerance, liberty, freedom to all life. And we just give deep, deep thanks for this. Thank you. Thank the great beloved beings. Okay, so this session, we're going to listen to Desiderata. It's a beautiful poem. I'm sure most of you know it. But I'd like to tell you a little story first. So one time we were in the Good Hope Sanctuary in Cape Town, South Africa, and Norman, who was actually a messenger, there was no question he was a messenger, and he was sitting there, and his inner sight was often opened. He was sitting there, and we'd come to the end of our service. We go there every Wednesday and every Friday. He said suddenly, gosh, there's a beautiful angel sitting next to me. And he then said that she said her name was Cassifia. And then she said to him that she was the one that had charged this poem into Max Ehrmann, and this beautiful poem of Desiderata. And she was the basically like the ensouling spirit of this beautiful poem. So I always like to start a session on, actually it's usually the second day of the workshop, but now we're doing it in sections like this. So we're going to listen to Desiderata. It's just beautiful. I hope you enjoy it.
placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here, and whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should.
Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself.
You are a child.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life. Keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be careful. Strive to be happy.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child.
It's so lovely. I really like listening to that. It's a beautiful poem, I think, and a lot of good wisdom shared there. Now, this is from Beloved Mighty Hercules, and he says, you see, if you realize what the power of your attention means, it means your life stream feeding into that. And if you do not want to give a destructive thing power, you cannot afford to let your life stream feed into it by your attention. It is the most tragic thing in the world. You cannot have your attention upon a thing without your life energy going into it. You cannot do it. So that's the great importance. As Saint Germain says often, where your attention is, there you are, and what you focus on, you bring or force into your world. So that's always to be very, very vigilant as what we allow into our minds and feelings. And so without an anchor, we are really like lost ships in a very rough, stormy ocean, because there's a lot of change coming on the planet. So to have an anchor and have just the knowledge of our great I am presence above us and within us is just one of our greatest gifts we can have. I see there's thunder outside. I don't know if you can hear it. So the only true, safe, and permanent anchor is our own I am presence. The outside world gives temporary comfort. It's not permanent. It's like the shifting sands. So start now to develop a very close relationship with your own I am presence. It's the most important thing that we can ever do, and have faith in it. Because not even the ascended masters can save us from anything. We have to do it ourselves, because we are the master over our minds and our feeling worlds, and our etheric bodies need to be cleansed. So it's just so important to know that we have this mighty I am presence, that through that light we can literally transfigure and change our worlds. Yeah. Okay, we're going to listen to this. This is the Ascension video. It's very important to understand it and listen to it, I believe. I really think it's very well explained by Alice Schultz. And yeah, so it's just because it's an important understanding, because it's our next evolutionary step. Ascension from Law of Life, Book 1, ADK Look. Your journey out of the sun to the ascension must be made in a certain space of cosmic time. When you waste time in one embodiment, your experiences in another must make up for it. Much assistance is being given to mankind at this time, never heard of before on Earth. This is because we are at the close of a great cycle, not only at the close of the 6th ray and entering into the 7th, which becomes the action for the next 2,000 years, but also a cycle of cosmic import, which the planet Earth has never reached before. That is the cycle in which our universe is to move forward. This is our system, the sun, and its planets around it, as well as the other systems around greater suns, are to move ahead in the scheme of things. The Earth, with its destructive activities, has for long retarded this progress. But the ultimatum has been issued, and all must move forward or be removed. Therefore, the great law is permitting dispensations during this great cosmic push never heard of before. There has been given a new dispensation for the attainment of the Ascension. The Ascension is the purpose or goal of all embodiments. The goal is to not only free oneself from human creation, which has been drawn about him, and perfect himself, but to make the Ascension. This dispensation is giving the opportunity of making the Ascension at the close of this embodiment to hundreds of thousands of people, and perhaps millions. If the Ascension is not accomplished at the close of this embodiment, an earnest student making conscious effort toward that end would attain it in the next embodiment. That means that the individual never again has to come back into a physical body, but can finish his course on earth, the schoolroom, and be forever free, ascended as Jesus himself. In the Ascension, one takes all his achievements with him. The principle of the cosmic law in making the Ascension is now the same as formerly, the way Jesus and others attained theirs. Of course, it is not necessary to go through a similar crucifixion as Jesus did. The reason for his was to show the victory of light over the human form. At the time of passing, those who would not be able to make the Ascension as of formerly now can under the new dispensation. The Ascension is completed at or after so-called death. Every particle of life essence is withdrawn while the physical body remains here. Only the chemical part is left, the shell. There will have been drawn into the etheric body the purified essence of the physical body, while the remains of the physical body are or should be cremated. Through this understanding of the law, as is being taught now, is how Jesus performed miracles and attained the Ascension. He made a public ascension, which was witnessed by about 500 people, thus leaving the example to mankind. This made and left an etheric record, which no other individual has done. That etheric record stands pulsating in the atmosphere to this day. It acts as a magnet to the consciousness of mankind. Jesus, through his ministry, set into action the latent or dormant etheric records of perfection in mankind and the very earth itself. This began a forward push in mankind's evolution of expansion. Jesus came when mankind's evolution was at a very low ebb. His life and manifestations on earth reversed the currents, drew forth and set into action the etheric records of former ages of perfection, the inherent good both individually and for the earth. The ascension is practical and scientific. It is the same principle in operation as a fan or airplane propeller. When it spins fast enough, you see through it, and it seems not to be there. But get in the way of its action or field of motion, and you will know soon enough it is real. After passing, the body should be kept quiet and undisturbed for 72 hours, or 3 days, as it should be in any case, and then cremated. This returns the elements back to the universal in a quick and clean way, instead of having to undergo disintegration or decay, the same as articles or trash of no further use are placed in the fire and transmuted, leaving everything clean instead of a heap of decay. In the golden ages and on Venus and other planets, there is no decay or blight. When a thing is no longer of use, it is etherealized, transmuted, returned back to the universal to be used again. Some feel a horror at cremation, because they imagine a burning sensation from fire, but remember, your loved one is gone, is happy, and more alive than before, and only the shell is left. Hundreds of students have made the ascension within the last 20 years, whereas formerly the average number of ascensions was about 1 per year for those who had training in a retreat. Also, through a dispensation, there has been given special assistance to those in military and naval service, which has enabled thousands to complete the ascension. Of course, every individual has to know his or her I am presence in order to make the ascension. Then how is this done by those who do not know their presence? The action is, when they are catapulted out of their body or otherwise pass on, they are assisted and taken by beings on the other side at inner levels, in their etheric bodies, and given the understanding of their own I am presence. Then, through the use of wielding light rays, they can transmute their karma and make sufficient balance to life to enable them to ascend. Everyone, when making the ascension, has the assistance of the ascension flame and some brother or sister from the ascension temple. The new dispensation could not have come forth if enough of humanity and students had not used the transmuting violet flame to a point where the ascension was possible. Physical constructive release is the only way you can release enough energy to draw you into the ascension. As you come nearer to the goal, everything in your life speeds up. Your good, accumulated around the presence, becomes an electrical magnet that draws you into the ascension. Today you have the opportunity to make the ascension into your everlasting body of light, to draw enough purified substance from the physical body to enable you to make the ascension. You cannot take anything from the earth in the ascension except purified substance of the physical body. At the moment of the ascension, all destructive records which have not been erased with the violet flame are consumed or transmuted. One can only make the ascension by expansion of the threefold flame in the heart. When one ascends, that flame moves to the center of the body. The threefold flame expands the light in every electron of the body, which becomes a force field around the threefold flame. At the ascension, the electrons expand, transmuting or raising all lower vibratory rates, and the electrons filling the force field of the threefold flame. When one becomes an ascended being, he carries the human qualities in their perfected state and the purified physical substance. Individuals in the outer world now have the opportunity to make the ascension through application and the great assistance afforded by the cosmic law at this time. There is now an opportunity never had before. Each one that makes the ascension raises everyone else on earth to some extent. For illustration, as you would take hold of the center of a tablecloth and lift it, all the rest of it is lifted to some degree. When one ascends, all human creation, all not of perfection in that life stream is transmuted. so that much is removed from the atmosphere of Earth. Your ascension is assured if you call the presence into action daily and live accordingly. Your application is the only thing that will enable you to make the ascension. You can give wonderful assistance, however. We can make a daily call for our ascension, which will stand in good stead when the time comes. We can say something like this: My magic I am presence, you direct my activity, world, and affairs, and take full command of me. Guide, protect, illumine me every step of the way, and see that I render the very greatest service possible. See in your wisdom that I make the ascension at the close of this embodiment. I am the ascension manifesting, and I thank you, beloved I am. The ascension is complete balance of the masculine and feminine. After a man or woman is ascended, that one can work and appear as either masculine or feminine, having had both masculine and feminine embodiments. The ascension is attained in a masculine body by the one who started out in a feminine body, and vice versa. Okay, so it's important to understand that, and Alice shares it so well. And so we also know now that it's very important to cremate the body. If we don't manage to do it as Jesus did, we have the opportunity. I mean, we can use that resurrection, transfiguration, and ascension flames. Those are the main three flames that he used. But now, there's a special dispensation that was given for the ones at the moment that have got the candidate for the ascension written on the forehead, whereby we don't necessarily have to purify the four earthly bodies completely as Jesus did. We can leave the physical body, make sure that it's cremated, and then we go to the temples for further learning and further use of the violet flame, and then transmute all misuse of life. We can literally, through that law of forgiveness, we can do it that way. So that was a special dispensation that actually Mighty Victory got when he came. Saint Germain called him from Venus, and he came, and he's just helped so much. A mighty, mighty cosmic being, Victory, who's only ever known victory from Venus. They call him the tall master from Venus. Anyway, so this is about the beloved karmic board. So its judgment is not in a sense of punishment, but the greatest mercy and good afforded to each life stream. So there are 7 great cosmic beings that sit on the karmic board. It's important for us to understand this, I believe. So the lords of karma give each one the greatest opportunity possible according to his or her own light and the karma created by them. It is the decision that is referred to as judgment. So this is when we leave our physical bodies, we all go and stand in front of these great beloved judges. And only if there's a mighty cataclysm and a lot of people leave the earth, are apparently all 7 of them in the halls of karma there. Otherwise, they're usually 2 or 3, apparently. So this has caused fear in some people, and they dread the halls of karma. That is because every experience they have had before is recorded in their etheric bodies and viewed by those great cosmic beings. This is the judgment day. Many of those days have been remorseful when the individual saw what was left undone and what could have been. So that's really, really an important thing for us to understand, what could have been. Because now we've got this knowledge, we've got the opportunity to make the decrees where we don't just help 1 or 2, we help the whole world, all the billions of life streams evolving on this beloved earth through our decrees. Because that's the power of our I Am Presence in the Ascended Masters. When we call to them to assist ourselves and all mankind, that is exactly what happens. So this is what Jesus said when he said, you will do as I do, and greater things still. The greater things still he was referring to are the decrees. So that's really important so that we can understand the importance of doing our decrees. This is also from Alice, Law of Life, Book 2. She says, there is existent in the etheric realm a large white building known as the halls of karma, or judgment halls, wherein the lords of karma officiate in regard to life streams individually and collectively in connection with their imperfect karma and their future progress. There, individuals after passing through so-called death are assigned in mercy and love to schoolrooms or their proper place where they dwell until they are ready for their ascension, or if they are to re-embody, the greatest possible assistance will be given the soul. All this comes under the jurisdiction of the Karmic Board. The Karmic Board was established when the need arose after mankind began to create the shadows. It is an instrument of mercy instead of judgment. It consists of 7 great beings officiating in a cosmic capacity. The Lords of Karma are cosmic beings of tremendous divine love. They are completely impersonal and impassionate in their judgment, always acting for the good of all. And they are interested in the greatest development and the fulfillment of the divine plan for each individual as well as all life. So its judgment is not a sense of punishment, but what can be the greatest good for the live stream. That's what we really need to understand. So I'm not going to mention all the karmic books because I just thought it's a waste of time because it's difficult to remember. But a lot of them, I think 4 out of the 7 are actually ladies. The head of the karmic board at the moment is Lady Portia, beloved Saint Germain's twin ray. She's the great goddess of divine justice and opportunity. Anyway, so one action of the karmic board is to designate which individuals are to re-embody. So they decide who's going to come onto the earth and be given an opportunity to incarnate. And it used to be, I don't think it's the same now, because I know there are only 10 billion souls evolving on this planet. But it used to be that 3 would come and be given the opportunity, and 2 would be turned away, and 1 would be allowed to incarnate. But now with I think between 7 and 8 billion, I think that's been put aside, that normal thing that happens, because I think that everybody is getting a last chance to incarnate and turn to the light and show their true colors. That's what it appears to be at the moment. So the beloved Mahatrahan says, this is a world of cause and its ultimate effect. It's always this, whatever we are being affected by, there's a cause behind it. It acts under the natural law of the circle called the cosmic law. If it were not for the initiative, interest, and personal sacrifice of intelligent beings, great ascended beings, who have made mankind's welfare their business, the karmic law would act with full force, and there would be no possibility of transcending its effects or softening its lash. The dispensing of the karma to individuals, nations, and the planet itself is under direction of the Lords of Karma. They are embodied justice, but also mercy and love. It is part of the heritage of every life stream, ascended and unascended, to use the authority of his or her own life and call for the transmutation through the use of the violet consuming flame of evil, mitigation of karmic retribution, and the creation of new causative centers which will yield good to the whole human race. So we have so many opportunities now, especially now when we are studying these teachings. There's just so many things that we are pointed out to us that we can actually, partake in and do through the power of our I Am Presence, really. So the Karmic Board also decide on petitions and grants. So usually twice a year, petitions can be submitted. This month, June, and also again in December. However, we have been told now that we can also submit petitions at any time during the year. So petitions must be for the good of all and not for personal gain. So if you go onto the website and you put into the search button petitions, it'll come up for, how you submit a petition and what actually has to be done in order for that petition to be granted. There must be energy given by the petitioner to get the grant. So the scales upon which such requests are measured must be evenly balanced. On one side, the potential good that such a proposed measure will affect in the evolution of the soul, the race, or the planet is weighed. And on the other side, exactly how much energy the sponsor, which is an ascended being, can offer to the Karmic Board as evidence of the voluntary support of his or her cause by both ascended and undescended beings. So we've heard often in the teachings, especially in the Bridge to Freedom teachings, that ascended masters will submit petitions, but they are not accepted or granted because there is not sufficient energy coming from the unascended realm, this is us down here, in order for them to actually grant that petition. So it's very much a co-creation working with the ascended masters. All right. So now we're going to listen to this. This is the Day of Judgment. It's just really good information. The Day of Judgment by the Beloved Mahachahan, an excerpt from Electrons and the Elemental Kingdom, compiled by Werner Schroeder from the Bridge to Freedom material. That which people call the Day of Judgment is an individual affair, as I shall try to explain to you. When the life stream chooses to finish with the human will and return the outer vehicles and outer man to the use of the God identity, he, by that act, signifies that he has found himself unhappy in his chosen path of separateness, and wishes to identify himself with the God principle that governs the universe, and which lives by the law of harmony. Students of the law of life are people who have signified their willingness to relinquish these stolen vehicles back to the God identity that has sustained them through the long, long centuries. This noble gesture immediately brings the individual to the attention of the hierarchy of the hosts of heaven, and the book of life, or the book of judgment, is brought out, and his account is read therein. Every electron that the individual has taken from the unformed light in the heart of God and sent out into the universe, stamped by the light pattern of his life stream, must be accounted for. If the electrons went forth in harmony for a constructive purpose to fulfill at least a fair proportion of that person's reason for being, these electrons are released from the debt side of his ledger and become a part of the storehouse for good in the causal body. But the countless hundreds of thousands of tons of energy that the individual has so boldly drawn forth from God's heart, where it was resting in ease and peace, and sent forth discordantly qualified by the willful and selfish thoughts and feelings of the personal self, must be returned to the individual in one form or another, until that life stream redeems that energy and sends it forth in love. For it is the law of life that any energy sent forth which does not comply with the law of harmony must be cleansed and purified by the dispenser. Now, when I say returned in one form or another, I mean that oft-times the energy sent forth, qualified inharmoniously through the individual's own free will in one lifetime, will come back to him in some particular trait or characteristic in some person around him, which is particularly annoying or distressing. And that energy coming from another life stream, which baits the temper, must be loved into harmony. Or it will appear again in another life stream, some place on the individual's path. No two people are annoyed by the same traits, habits, and characteristics of the people, animals, or circumstances. Why? Because each one is only prodded by the energy which corresponds to his own failing in some lifetime, and which life, in mercy, brings back to him in order that he may redeem it, and so set both himself and the other one free. When an individual comes to a place where his ascension is in view, the return of this energy is greatly accelerated, and the conditions and individuals seem to pop out of the very earth that cause every conceivable type of annoyance. If one could only realize that this bombardment is but the return of one's own energy, which is called in by the cosmic law ere one can pass through the portals of freedom, that one would not feel so resentful and rebellious. A realization of this, beloved ones, would save you from depression and doubt, and you would know that in that very pressure and stress of circumstances there was a promise that the hierarchy knew you were ready to handle the energy and to have the glory of the ascension. So every moment becomes an opportunity to balance your account until the red ink runs dry. Okay, so that is just good information from the beloved Mahachahan. Always to us, because then we can never blame others. So we immediately set free of that burden when we realize whatever we are receiving, somewhere, sometime, whether it's this lifetime or one of the other ones we've had, we have created that lesson that we need to learn from. So it's never about them. And then we just hand it over to our own presence, literally hand it over. We don't start mulling over it in our minds and worrying about it and thinking this and that and what have you. We just hand it over. We ask for it to be forgiven, truly deep and sincere from our hearts. So this is what beloved Lord Kuthumi, he says, you are our hands, you are our feet. You are our lips through which we can speak. You are our eyes through which we bless. We have not other in the world of form. So many are not ready, and our help is going to be needed now, because there are a lot of people, I do believe, as we go into these times of great change, that are going to need a lot of help, especially just through our calls to our own presence and for the light, but also just to bring comfort and balance sometimes to people. So the transmission flame service, I wanted to go through this because this is really important. So it's once a month. It's on the third Saturday of every month, and it's a mighty, mighty service where that actually the Mahachahan, brought it to humanity in 1952, when it was actually a time where there was a time where they didn't know whether the Earth was going to make it in 1952, because an ultimatum had been given to the hierarchy of the planets, or of this planet, I beg your pardon, by the sort of the great ones, probably Alpha and Omega, that Sanat Kumara had to go back to Venus. And he was the great being that was literally holding this planet in its orbital position through his great, great aura of love and, sending out light, because in order for a planet to continue to hold their place in an orbital scheme, they have to emit light, otherwise they get dissolved. So that was what Sanat Kumara came and did all those millions of years ago. 4.5 million years he was here, literally doing for the Earth people what we should have been doing for ourselves, sending out love and light and creating happiness and joy and all the wonderful things that we should have been doing. Anyway, that was at that time that they said he had to go back to Venus, and they gave the hierarchy of the Earth at the time 20 years. And that was, and then there was, sure, what are they going to do? They, because the Earth people weren't ready. And that was when they created this transmission flame service, where the unascended Chelas work cooperatively with the ascended beings through the rhythmic breath. They literally, through the rhythmic breath, you breathe in the retreat of the month, because a retreat becomes open every month of the ascended masters, and we breathe in that flame. Like, for instance, right now it's the retreat is the palace of man's purpose, and it's in the etheric over Venezuela in South America, and it's a mighty, mighty temple. But that's in June now. So, and then on the 15th of this month, the Teton retreat will come open, and so it goes on. So we breathe in this flame, and then we, through the rhythmic breath, which we've learned, we expand it and send it to the next place, which will be an ascended master retreat. They then receive it through their breath, and they expand it. And their breath is so powerful, it literally causes our whole planet to become blazing light. So this is what the beloved Mahachahan says. He says, expanding the transmission flame is one of the most efficacious means of awakening the consciousness of the people, because the light stirs the flame in the heart into action. And so the Chelas are given the opportunity to work in conjunction with the ascended hosts and expand the flame of the monthly retreat open through the rhythmic breath. It's not difficult. And so it's one of the greatest ways we can contribute to the redemption of the world and cooperate with the ascended masters is through the monthly participation in the transmission flame service. So there's a Zoom connection available with the Good Hope Sanctuary in Cape Town, South Africa. You just need to email iam@iamfree.co.za and ask to be put on the mailing list, and you'll receive the Zoom link every month and what retreat is open, etc. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. It's truly a way to make our earth shine. This is also what the Mahachohan says. The transmission flame service is the most effective way to raise the light quota of the earth. It is one of the most important activities in which we can participate in right now as a transmission flames is the transmission flame service. And he says, you have asked me at one time or another how you may assist in this endeavor of purifying the earth. And I say to you, my children, that expanding the transmission flame is one of the most efficacious means of awakening the consciousness of the people, because the light stirs the flame in the heart into action, as we said earlier, and in a divinely natural way, illumines the intellect, thereby arousing an interest in God's plan for the universe. So really the light is what enlightens us and actually awakens us. It always comes through the light. So it's just amazing. So this is also the success of the transmission flame service exceeded all expectations of the Great White Brotherhood. And by the end of 1955, so bearing in mind that's 4 years, 52, 53, 54, 55, the light of the earth had already increased to such an extent that Sanat Kumara could be released in January of 1956. So it was amazing. And you know who was ready to take his place was the great Lord Gautama. Apparently their causal bodies could be likened to two halves of an orange. They were almost exact. Absolutely extraordinary. It's just such a marvelous, marvelous thing, the way our beloved earth has been saved. The Mahachohan said, to repeat, all the churches in the world, all the metaphysical institutions, even the I Am activity, with all the decreeing, worthwhile as it was, could not have prevented the dissolution of the planet. The Ascended Masters gave the main credit for keeping the earth in orbit to those students of the Bridge to Freedom who performed the transmission flame service. So how's that? That's the great, great importance of it. All right, so now, I just see, I think, all right, so just to bring this to an understanding too, in the books, the Ascended Masters refer to the human as imperfect. So often I get people saying, oh, but the human creates such lovely things. Actually, it's the divine in us that's creating the lovely things. So the human creates the imperfect because it's still in the unascended sort of state, but the divine within us, when the divine is really working, the I Am presence, and the light expands through that threefold flame, then these divine ideas come. And then we start behaving in divine ways. So always understand that the human means imperfect and the divine means perfect. Just so I needed to put that in. Some people don't know that. So joining or starting a group is a really good thing to do. So there's online groups available. Daily there's an online Zoom group that people can join us, also in the Good Hope Sanctuary in Cape Town, where we do decrees and meditation and singing. It's every morning, South African time, at 7 a.m. and finishes at 8. But it goes so quickly, and it's just the most marvelous way to start the day. And we've been doing it now for years. Every single morning, we blaze that light. We call for the predominant ray of the day. We call to the retreat currently open, all the great beings. We work closely with them, and we just do these decrees for the purification of ourselves and all life on this beloved earth. So one of the greatest privileges and opportunities we can ever have is working with the ascended hosts in groups. They say working with groups is very efficient because it's very energy efficient, not only for them, but for ourselves. So when we're working always individually, they have to have a sort of an individual with each one of us, whereas when we're in groups, they just need one. And so that's not to say that I think that there often are more than one, but they don't need that, that use, that because they are accountable for all the energy they use. So they also are very, very concerned with the conservation of energy, one of the very important laws that we all have to learn. So constancy, enthusiasm, and dedication is really important. And we usually go through a 3-year probation period. Because often people get this knowledge and then they wane, and then they sort of wander off and they don't carry on with it, because it does require dedication and discipline every day to wake up and do your decrees, sit in meditation, not for a long time. It's not onerous, but it's really important to do it because that's how we set ourselves free, transmute all our misuse of life back to the beginning, and assist our beloved earth at this critical time. So in fact, we only got, I started getting messages through Norman after a 3-year period. So we were being tested, but we didn't waver. We got more and more enthusiastic as a group. So tolerance and group harmony are imperative. So we learn a lot when working in a group, because as soon as there's disharmony or there's conflict anywhere, then people have to know they've got work to do on themselves. It's as simple as that. So we never judge or point fingers because all have differences, and we keep it pure. It's very important to keep it pure, I believe. The teaching's pure from the Ascended Masters. So I always try and stick with the Bridge to Spiritual Freedom, which did get quite a lot of information after Geraldine, but the I Am activity, the Bridge to Freedom, Alice's books, ADK Look, and the Bridge to Spiritual Freedom, they're very, very pure. And in my opinion, trusted sources. I'm sure you'll feel the same. So if you're interested in joining the group, you just let us know. You send that email. And there's information on starting a group if the times don't suit you. There's lots of information on the website. All right, so now we're going to have the 5-minute break. We're a little bit ahead of time, which is good. So we're going to play the music and then we'll come back. And then we've got the last session of our 6-week session. Okay, so we're going to start again now. So part 2, we're going to listen to a video also to understand more of chakras in the new age. So we return to the original chakra colors and their functions, because it was only when we fell, after the fall of man, that the chakras became those colors. Was never ever red. And okay, Lean, I'm just going to mute you there, beloved. And yeah, I was never ever read in the base, but you'll get to read and to understand more from the video. And the balancing of the masculine and the feminine and the straightening of the axis of the earth, also really important to understand that, because that is taking place now as we speak. It's just literally over the last many years now, they've been straightening the axis of the earth very, very slowly and carefully, beloved Polaris and Magnus. And there is no death. Death is man-made, and we can and must one day overcome it. Jesus was the example for that, where he, through the use of light, overcome the all that had been imposed on him on the cross. Literally, the power of light through the resurrection and the transfiguration flame, he resurrected that mutilated body. That is the power of the light, which we have the same opportunity to use. And then we're going to listen, the final thing we listen to is the Spiritual Caravan. It's a video from Beloved El Morya. It's absolutely marvelous. It's very symbolic of where we are right now, and the importance of learning these teachings and applying them. Very, very important. And then there's just closing things that I've just picked out, some just important pointers before we finally finish. So let's just go through now. So these are the chakras, which we will focus on now. Is at the base is white, pure white. It's the root chakra, and it's for purity. Then we got the sacral one, and that is where the spleen is, and that's a violet one. So it's always purifying, and it's for invocation, mercy, transmutation, ceremony, the complete consuming of all that is not of the light. So that's a very, it's like a guard, a safety guard for the pure white root chakra. So if anything starts coming up from the root, which is not pure white. So the solar plexus is the golden ruby flame, the golden ruby center of peace, ministration, and grace. So those are the true colors of the chakras. The heart is pink, and it is the center of pure divine love. It's literally pink, and that's where, don't forget, the 3-4 flame is housed, which is the anchorage of our I am presence. So they, in the sort of more commonly known chakras, put green in the heart, which is about the thought. That's just absolutely not where it should be. So the green is actually in the head, and then the throat is blue, as it is usually. That really is the power of the voice, the will of God, and the voicing of it. And then the brow in the center, that is green, and that's the all-seeing eye of God, the concentration, healing, and truth. That is what the emerald green is. So that's in the center. And then on the crown, it's a sun. It's literally like a noonday sun, brilliant and dazzling, a sun. So those are the true colors. And when we get more and more into the golden age that's dawning, we will be literally operating from the heart up, those chakras from the heart up. Now we're going to listen to this instruction on the chakras. Very, very good from Alice. Chakras are centers in the etheric body corresponding with the ganglionic centers in the physical body. Glands and organs are the physical parts of the body in relation to these centers. Through the chakras flows an inner energy or force. In this new instruction, giving the understanding and practical use of the I Am Presence, the occult law is set aside concerning the developing of the 7 centers and drawing the fire, the kundalini, up the spine. The centers of consideration are heart, head, and throat. This development is controlled through the action of the presence. When it acts, there is perfect balance of love, wisdom, and power, and all danger is eliminated. When the pituitary and pineal glands become attuned, balanced, illumination takes place. When the light expands in the heart, it goes to the head and brings about illumination. Quite the reverse of awakening the centers with the intellect. Knowledge of the I Am Presence and its action in producing results is in many phases of the law a reverse of the old occult law. The pineal gland is where the light of the source enters. The energies of the lower centers will rise or be drawn into the heart, throat, and head centers. In this new cycle just begun, we will work through the centers of the heart, head, and throat, controlling all through these centers, instead of, as in former teachings, by concentration upon the physical organs or the lower centers. We will no longer use the occult way of working to develop and control the life force from the base of the spine up to the top of the head through the 7 centers. The lower centers will not be concentrated upon as previously. By working through the head, heart, and throat centers, the others are naturally developed through the action of the I Am Presence, without having to struggle through the human qualities as formerly. Each center is the focus for a certain constructive or God quality, and the connection of one of the 7 bodies. At present, the centers are also a point or seat of certain human or destructive qualities. Each center originally represents a certain constructive quality. In mankind's present condition, all the centers except the one at the top of the head are expressing some quality other than constructive, rather than the opposite of the original one designed to express through that center. The action now is to definitely develop the centers in the heart, head, and throat, and learn how to let the I Am Presence take command again. However, as each center represents one of the 7 rays, the Elohim, Archangel, and Chohan of that ray focalize energy through that center. We can call to the Elohim, Archangels, and Chohan of the ray represented in each center to blaze and intensify their light there. That is a perfectly safe procedure and not dangerous as the former practice was. Levitation is an activity of light. What enables one to levitate? It is his own Christ self, the higher mental body. When one's light has expanded sufficiently to let the Christ self take command, and it has raised the consciousness and vibratory action of the physical body, it is connected by a light ray with the Christ self, and he walks on it. Then, when one stands in the atmosphere, the air feels substantial or solid under the feet. Those who walk on fire in reality have their pillar or tube of light in between their feet and the fire. We should give back all to the presence, including our bodies. We don't own things. All belongs to the presence. It is the holding on to things that prevents levitation. The student may want to give all back to the presence, and in the intellect he thinks he has, but not in the feelings. Rays of light go out from every cell and through every pore, from the Christ self and the presence, to some distance around the body. When one feels tired, those rays shorten and droop. That enables the sinister force to drive in easier. pores are little openings with a tiny hair in each, through which originally poured out a small ray or stream of light. Hair represents a ray of light. In former ages, a head of long hair meant power. The more and longer the hair, the greater the power. In India, even today, masters and devotees have long hair and wear turbans to cover it. The physical bodies of most people are smaller than their divine pattern. This is caused by discord in former embodiments. A very small stature is caused by intellectual pursuits. When one first individualized and said and felt, I am, he began to magnetize primal life and radiate it forth. From this has come the result of what he is today. Each one is endowed with the power of magnetization to draw what is desired, and the power of radiation to radiate and give forth. These should be under the conscious control of the individual at all times. He should be a radiating focus of light and power. The present condition of mankind's bodies is that they are negative and absorbers, accepting and taking on the qualities about them, instead of being positive and radiating focuses and only accept that which is desired. The 7 centers or chakras are connecting points of the lower bodies, one with the other, through which flows life energy. It is through these centers, at these points, that the inner energy or force flows from one body to another. The centers are usually described as wheels, or denote action, a turning. However, they are spherical and not flat like a wheel. These centers, in the etheric body of the spiritually undeveloped individual, are declivities concave in form, which make a suction instead of protrusions and convex, which radiate, vibrate with vital essence and power. It is within these declivities that the sin of man and the various destructive qualities and activities are rooted. These can be removed with the assistance of the Ascended Ones, particularly the Elohim of Purity and Astrea and Archangel Michael, those on the 7th ray, Ascended Master Kuan Yin, Prince Arameses, and Saint Germain, and one can watch himself and at the first vibratory action of any of these qualities call to the I Am Presence and some Ascended Master to remove it. It is similar to pulling a rubber suction cap from an object. There is a tendency to unconsciously hold on to them, so let go. These centers should be positive and radiate the qualities and colors of the 7 rays. They should magnetize the qualities and activities of the 7 Elohim, archangels and Chohans, and radiate them out. The awakening of the Kundalini fire under the occult law was dangerous without the assistance of a visible master. One should not unnecessarily dwell on the lower centers, but he can concentrate on the heart, throat, and head centers and make them blazing light. The heart center is divine love, pink with gold radiance. The throat, the power center, is white with a blue radiance. The door to the mental world is through the pituitary gland, the solar plexus being the door to the emotional body from the outer world. The 5 senses are connections to the outside world of touch, taste, smell, hearing, sight being the highest. This is a summary of the chakras and their qualities. The base of the spine, the color of the chakra is pure white. The negative aspect of the chakra is passion and lust. The positive aspect is purity, and this chakra relates to the 4th ray, and the body that it relates to is the physical body. The 2nd chakra from the base is the chakra of the spleen. The color of the chakra is violet, and the negative aspects of the chakra are hatred, malice, anger, and mild dislike. The positive aspects are power of invocation. It correlates with the 7th ray and the etheric body. The 3rd chakra of the solar plexus, the color is ruby with a golden radiance. The negative aspect is covetousness, greed, gluttony, fear, and feeling of insecurity. The positive aspect is fearlessness, generosity, and peace. This correlates with the 6th ray of ruby and gold and the emotional body. The next is the heart chakra. The color of this is a beautiful pink with a golden radiance. The negative aspect is lethargy, laziness, sloth, indifference, and deficiency. The positive aspect is divine love, tolerance, forbearance. It correlates to the third ray of divine love in our heart, and the body is the electronic body. Then we have the throat chakra. The color of this is pure white with a blue radiance. The negative aspect is desire for power, envy, and jealousy. And the positive aspect is power to create according to God's will. The ray that it correlates with is the first ray and the causal body. The color of the chakra of the forehead is emerald green. The negative aspect is pride, rebellion, arrogance, intellectual reasoning, and doubt. The positive aspect is the all-seeing eye of God, concentration and consecration. It correlates with the fifth ray and the mental body. The crown chakra has no negative aspects. It's golden yellow in color, and the positive aspects are connection with the Christ self. It correlates with the second ray and the body of the Christ self. Okay, so that's really good. So don't forget, all these videos are on the YouTube channel. Also, I will be sending out a Word document with all these links on it. So you'll get that. But you can get all of this, and you just go to the playlists, and you'll see Ascended Master Instruction. You'll get all of this. So this is the great importance of balancing the masculine and the feminine. This is mighty goddess Meru, and she's the divine complement of beloved God Meru, and they are guardians of the illumination flame in the Andes, just above Lake Titicaca. So it's very, very important. So that's in Peru on the border of Bolivia. That's where this mighty, mighty flame, which anchors in actually the feminine ray on the planet. Because I want to just go a little bit more and understand the great importance of balancing the feminine and the masculine rays. This is what she says. She says it so beautifully. Dear Cheelers of light, you may wonder why I choose to speak this evening, for the simple reason to impress upon your consciousness that the feminine ray is anchored at our retreat in the Andes mountains above Lake Titicaca, as we said, down in the substance of the earth to its heart center, where it is met by the masculine ray from beloved Himalaya's retreat. So his retreat is in the Himalayan mountains. So the feeling nature of the feminine ray is so much required at this hour, because the ideas which are coming from the mind of God on the masculine ray must be nurtured in the matrix of the feminine heart, nourished like the child in the womb of its mother, to come forth at the specific time when cosmic law permits, and where there has been sufficient cooperation by the peoples of this earth for these magnificent. So to mute there quickly. All right, so for these activities to take place. The feminine ray is one of power, my lovely ones, and it is an activity of the Holy Spirit. You all know how gentle the cosmic Holy Spirit can be, but he is also a being of great power. So the cosmic Holy Spirit is mighty cosmic Aeolus. So he works in the central sun, and he used to be our beloved Mahachahan here. And I love this. It just says it all. Power used in a godly manner. And that is what all must learn. Power used in a godly manner. That's truly the balancing of the masculine and feminine, if we think about it. The feminine ray is within the heart of all life, whether man, woman, or child. But the masculine ray has been predominant through the centuries, and now the gentle yet powerful side of God shall bring into manifestation the permanent golden age not long hence. And that is very true. It is really the dawning of our beloved permanent golden age now, even though it might not seem so, with so much happening in the outside world. It's really there's a lot of stuff going on. anyway, so this is also, so we got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So the Father, the masculine, thought and power. Son, or S-O-N, S-U-N, is also the creation. And that comes with the wisdom. And the Holy Spirit is the feminine side, the feeling or the love. So when we have a thought, if it's not energized with feelings, it doesn't come into manifestation. There's no creation. So that's why, you know, you first of all receive a thought, and that's the masculine, or that's the first ray coming in, which comes in through the thought. And then it gets energized by feeling. And now that doesn't matter whether we're building a house, building a business, a relationship, or whatever it is. If the thought is not energized with feeling, there's no creation. And the creation is the sun or sun. And that's also the threefold flame in our heart, the love, the wisdom, and the power. And it perfectly balanced. And those also incorporate all the other rays. So it's actually sevenfold. But it comes in this beautiful, beautiful, dazzling colors of pink, golden, yellow, and blue. Thought and feeling must be combined for creation to take place, and all should be under the divine direction of our I Am Presence. Sorry, I put an R there by mistake, which has all the wisdom to bring the perfect creation. So it must come under the umbrella of wisdom in order to be perfect. So the masculine energy has been predominant for eons. Now we know that, we can see it, and now must come into balance with the feminine energy for perfect peace and perfection on our beloved earth. So even now, if we think about, you know, what happens on our planet, just a typical example is the banking system, where they will go and they'll take people's houses. Where it's just the blue and the yellow. It's not even blue and yellow operating perfectly at all, but it's all in the mind. There's absolutely no feeling. They create these, you know, they'll take people's houses if they can't pay this loan back, and the loan is created in milliseconds on a computer. It's got nothing backing it because of the fractional reserve banking now. It's really something which has to be now comes into balance, and there must be a new system coming on this planet. It's very, very important because we're actually in this kind of slavery system at the moment. So power used in a godly manner, it really just sums it all up. So the scepter, as we went through this, I think it was either last week or the week before, the scepter being the power through the decrees, and the crown is the meditation, receiving the feeling and the divine guidance. So that's also the perfect balance of the use of the masculine and feminine rays. So that's really important for us to understand that. So now I just wanted to go into death, because, you know, death is man-made. So this is what is told in Life and Teachings of Jesus and Mary by Eddie K. Locke. What is known as death is man-made. God did not make it or impose it upon man. Since man created it, now under cosmic law, he has to learn to uncreate it and overcome death, as Jesus taught, demonstrated, and exemplified. And death is the last enemy to overcome. So we have the knowledge, we have the light, we have the I Am Presence, and there's nothing wrong with us trying this, because this is what's happened, is that we rely on, you know, we think somebody else is going to save us. But nobody can save us because we're all still here. We have to save ourselves. Saint Germain says, so-called death is but an opportunity for rest and reattunement of the faculties of the personal consciousness. This is to free them from the turmoil and discord of earth long enough to receive an inflow of light and strength, which will enable the outer activity of the mind to take up the work of physical experience again. Physical embodiment is for the purpose of preparing, perfecting, and illuminating a body whose vibratory action can be raised to blend with the body of the mighty I Am Presence. In other words, get us ready for the ascension, where we learn our lessons down here. As we know, Earth is just a schoolroom. The last enemy, death, will disappear, for it is but a means of release from a garment which no longer has anything of value to give for the use of the perfection of life. So that was from the Magic Presence from beloved Saint Germain. So it's very important. Saint Germain continues, when the physical body is so incapacitated that the personality occupying it can no longer make self-conscious effort to express perfection, then nature herself takes a hand in things and dissolves the limitation, and the individual may have a new chance to make an effort which is of benefit. Grief for the death of a loved one is selfishness, but retards the greater good of the loved one that the loved one should be enjoying. So sadly, it is this. This is the great importance of avoiding too much codependency, where we try and find our happiness in things outside of us. The more we get that feeling and that kind of self-sufficiency with the happiness and the comfort and all that we need, which is within us, the less we rely on the outside world for our happiness. And that includes people and places and conditions and wealth and status and all these things. That's a very important thing to remember. Okay, we're going to listen to a video now. It's a lovely video. It's a true story, very short, but it's a true story of a little girl that came down here with a very important mission. So we're going to listen to this. This is the true story of a little girl with a very important mission. There was once a little girl that chose to come to earth and show some dearly beloved souls that there is no death. She came into a family whom she had been with in many previous lives, and there was a deep love between them all, especially her father. She had a deep bond with him. Then it came time for her to leave the earth plane and fulfill her promise she took before her embodiment. She only had 2 short years on earth, then she transitioned to the higher realms. Her leaving caused great suffering, especially with her father, as he was not aware that there is no such thing as death, and that it is just a wonderful time for the soul to rest, recuperate, join with other family and friends in the higher realms, and then go to the temples of light for further learning to achieve our ultimate goal of ascension. After her passing, she joined many other children, and her time was happy, except she was being held back by the feelings of deep sadness from her earthly father. Those feelings from him pierced deep into her heart, and she wished she could tell him that she was in the most wonderful place that was filled with peace, harmony, joy, and happiness by all who were there with her. She asked her superiors in this heavenly realm if she could show her father that his tears were holding her back. She was permitted to show him in a vision what he was doing. So she set to work and asked all her friends that were with her there to gather and asked that each one bring a candle. This request was gladly fulfilled, as the children knew they were going to have a wonderful experience of celebration, song, and dance. They all dressed in their beautiful white clothes, gathered the dear flowers from the gardens, and made exquisite garlands for their heads and bunches for their hands. The music started, and the little children were led by one of their sweet teachers, and they formed a great procession, they moving forward as they sang and danced along in great happiness and joy. Their candles were all lit, and it was a glorious sight to behold. The little girl in question could not get her candle to light, but she moved along anyway with all her friends. There was a great feeling of celebration and joy, and they proceeded along the beautiful garden path. This was the vision that was projected like a television screen in front of her earthly father. He was astounded, but immediately asked, "Why is your candle not lit?" And the little girl answered, "Your tears are putting out the light of my candle. I am happy and free, but your sadness is holding me back. We will be together in divine time. There is no death. It is just changing clothes for lighter ones. You have your own life and divine plan to fulfill, and your sadness only adds to the shadows of the world, and the world is in great need of happiness, so be happy. Your true and permanent happiness only comes from your heart flame within. Nurture it." And the vision ended. So there we have it. So that it's a really important understanding, because it's very comforting, I think, for people to realize that, I mean, and the earth, our earth life, when we know that we've had hundreds, some of us thousands of earth lives, this is just one of many, and we've been with the same life streams often time and time again. But anyway, now we did cover this last week, I think, but I just thought it's so important. I just wanted to cover it again. So one's God presence does not release its full power through an individual until he has cleansed himself of all concepts and habits through the use of the violet flame and made himself new. This is because the added release of the energy from the iron presence would energize, intensify, and amplify all the qualities within one, the bad as well as the good. So that's the great importance of managing our mental and emotional bodies, and the use always of the protective pillar of light, Archangel Michael's armor of light, and always the violet consuming flame, so that we start erasing all those scars, all those etheric memories that can cause us to be, less than perfect, that cause us not to be as peaceful as we should be, and as understanding and what have you. Okay, so now we're going to listen to this wonderful, it's one of my real favorites. In fact, Werner Schroeder, and he turned 97 today, beloved Werner. It came through on one of the emails. He was the one with his wife, Annette, that got all those bulletins and all the journals and put them together into book form of the Bridge to Freedom material. Really, without him, we wouldn't have this Bridge to Freedom material, because it was scattered all over America, and I think probably in other parts of the world, but we didn't have it. So deep, deep gratitude to Werner Schroeder. God bless him forever. He says that these words from El Morya are what he feels are the most profound in all the Bridge to Freedom material. So it's really is. I just love it. It's very, very symbolic of what's going on now. These are profound words from our beloved Ascended Master El Morya, the Spiritual Caravan. Beloved friends of light and love, I am the gentleman who is responsible for taking your individual little boats out of the shallows into the deep blue sea. It is perhaps wise and expedient that I remain for a time behind the human veil, for it is a measure of protection to my life stream as well as to your own. I would endeavor, in speaking thus with you, informally, to give you an understanding of what is the design behind this endeavor, why it was brought forth, and to what purpose we wish to sustain it. With understanding comes illumination and willing obedience. The life stream who obeys without understanding is but the serf and the slave, and serves no good purpose to the masters in this work, which is to become worldwide in its action in the days and years ahead. We are engaged, the other Ascended Masters and myself, in the building of a bridge which will endure until every man and woman and child that belongs to this evolution has passed from the realm of imperfection and limitation over it into God's freedom. Into and under that bridge we are building a foundation made of strong and valiant, hand-picked, hand-chosen life streams who can bear the weight and strength of the energies of the masses when they begin to cross from the shadows into sunshine, from darkness into light, from limitation into freedom, from disease into health and perfection. Some of you have builded bridges through the ages. Some of you know how very important it is to have a strong foundation, lest the weight of the individuals who use it in the future might be more than it could carry. We are the engineers who are endeavoring to find out the strength of the various life streams whom we have called to the colors. Those who choose to remain with us shall have the great privilege and honor of becoming the living foundation of this bridge of living light. When first mankind came out of the heart of God, a bridge of light was sustained, made up of the wide sweep of each one's own silver cord, and every one was in full conscious communion with the God Self. Over that bridge walked the masters and the angels. Over that bridge walked the teachers, the gurus, the guides, and the guardians of the race. Mankind lived in exceeding peace, for they had the counsel of perfection upon which to build their individual endeavors. As the ages passed, that bridge, even like the beautiful marble bridge at Shambhala, disintegrated. As each individual life stream withdrew his attention and withdrew the separate span of his own life energy from the overall width and strength, until that bridge became thin as a spider's web, maintained and sustained by the very few saints and sages of every age, who, foregoing personal pleasure, chose through the attention to hold a connection with the God beings, who, at the farther side of that bridge, vowed to sustain it so long as one remained upon this planet who would send up the span from Earth. Do you know that previous to the coming of Sanat Kumara, there were ages when only one life stream held that bridge? Only one life stream kept it from being severed eternally, and the entire evolution swept into the second death? When our great Lord Sanat Kumara came from Venus, his first activity was to magnetize, through his own heart's light, the sleeping souls of the guardians of the race, who had, unfortunately, joined the sleeping evolution for which they vowed to care. Through love he drew in their finer bodies while the physical garment slept, these souls who once had stood before the throne of the Eternal and gave the pledge or vow to life to see this evolution free. To these guardians he spoke, as only he can speak, until their hearts were filled with love for the mankind of Earth, and they re-entered their bodies on waking with a deep, determined desire to stimulate the God fire within the mankind of Earth, and send up those energies to recreate the bridge of light. Why do you think Shambhala has been called through the ages City of the Bridge? Ah, true, there was a lovely carved marble span across which your feet and mine walked in happy innocence, but the bridge that Sanat Kumara builds is made up of the energies of the aspirations and hopes, the prayers and dedications and devotions of incarnate souls. Again and again through the ages, the great have come, and through the stimulus of their presence have raised a small number into their ascension. Then, for a time, the bridge was strong, and over it passed the fortunate few, who availed themselves of the cosmic moment, before the religion was stripped of its spiritual significance, and became again a dogma of words. If it was not for those few within every age, not one would have achieved his own eternal victorious mastery and ascension. Now again we come, rallying to the banners of Saint Germain, to build a bridge over which every member of this race shall pass. Not only the billions who are presently enjoying themselves in the sleep of the senses incarnate, but also the billions who are awaiting the opportunity for re-embodiment. Some whose creation is so heavy that they would move the very earth from its axis were they to be admitted until places were made for them by the removal of another presently incarnate soul. For 1 year we have coaxed and pleaded with and loved you, but now we move forward with those who choose to come. Have you ever joined a caravan to cross the trackless wastes of the deserts? Yes, some among you have. I joined one once, following a star, hoping to find a Christ, and I was rewarded. I remember well the preparations of the leader of that caravan, who agreed to accept, on certain terms, pilgrims from various parts of the world, who chose to band their strengths together, and then, after the goal was reached, to go their separate ways. I remember how fierce this leader was. I remember thinking at the time how heartless, for I had not in my conscious mind a memory of the desert, the wasteland, and conditions of nature against which the puny form of the physical body would be required to stand. He was a rough man, and an uncouth one, and he spoke in rough terms. He asked us, each one, if we carried with us a knife. And someone asked why, and he said, "It is better to die upon the knife than to die of thirst in the desert. If you should weaken, because we cannot stop, we must be on our way." Some among our number left the band. He examined well what we carried. He insisted that those who carry too many worldly goods unload their camels or their horses and place in their stead plain water. There was grumbling, because in the exchange of costly goods was money and interest and reward. Some there were who hid worldly goods in their skins in place of water, and they died upon the deserts. He asked us if we wore beneath the silken garments of the day protection against the heat of the desert sun, lest we be stricken as we moved relentlessly forward. Many other things were asked. He was relentless in that discipline. Those of us who abided with his counsel remained with that caravan to the end, and others' bones are bleaching yet beneath the desert sun. Now I seem to hear down through the ages the shout of the leader as he gave forth the signal to proceed. From group to group the call went forth. The sneering camels rose on their reluctant legs. The fiery horses champed at the bit. The lumbering elephants followed slowly, and the ho, ho, ho of the leader resounded through the heart and spirit. I stand in that place today, friends of my heart. We can tarry no longer in the personal self. We go forth to build a world in which perfection shall be the lot of every man. The spiritual sound of the fire of my heart inspires those of you who wish to ride with me in this service. To those who choose to remain, I say, you will cross on the bridge we build one day in safety, in a great deal more comfort, and in a great deal more peace. I cannot force you to be among those who are the builders of the bridge, whose very bodies are sacrificed to the task, whose consciousness is open to the almost superhuman release from our octave. There is blood and sweat and tears in the service of those who choose to respond to the hoe of the spiritual caravan. To those who choose to wait, there will be a beautiful white span made up of the electronic light of those life streams who have lived and died in service. It will be soft to your feet. It will be safe, and the raging torrent beneath will have no danger for you. Someone who has gone before will have stood to his neck in that water, and perhaps been wasted away in the raging flow of the tides. These latter are the men and women who are the builders of this age. Those of you who are ready have been given my individual and collective counsel and opportunity. Avail yourselves of it. If you choose, we march. Beloved ones, having delivered myself of my message, may I assure you I also have developed, which was an essential ingredient to my release, a sweeter side. I have spoken officially, and now I speak as a friend. I love you. I loved you enough to stand before the Mahachahan and implore him to give me the opportunity to contact a few of you and prove that there are incarnate life streams who can believe in intelligences who have no way and means of reaching the outer consciousness through the veil except through an instrument as he would allow. I pledged my life, a great store of my personal energies harnessed reluctantly, for I am a freeborn man, and I have written countless words harnessing the energies of my world to coax you to understand. El Morya. Just such stirring words from Beloved El Morya, and he has written countless words, really, from the Bridge to Freedom. Loads and loads of information came through from Beloved El Morya, just priceless, priceless information. And so these are just going to go through now, just a couple of sort of important points that are actually on these little posters that somebody makes for me every week. And they're just really, so I've just taken some of the ones that I thought were really important before we finish off. So just to remember that every thought, feeling, word, and action have color and sound and either add to the light or to the shadows of the world. Every thought, feeling, word, and action. So it's really important for us to try and always keep if we get a little bit anxious, or we get a little bit feeling worried about, things, or a little bit sad about something, or a bit angry, or whatever it is, we need to straight away nip it in the bud and call to our iron presence to take command and charge its light into each one of us, or charge its light into whatever's worrying us. So that is the great gift that we have now. It's just so marvelous. And then this is the great divine director. And this actually came through Norman. This was on the 24th of November, 2012. And he said, put not one thing before service to life, which is light. So that's quite a thing for us to think about. And then our decrees, this is from the great divine director as well. He says, there is no greater privilege of service before mankind today than the issuing of these mighty decrees for the freedom of themselves and the world, the seizing and binding of the entities, the use of the violet consuming flame, the call for the tube of light around you. These are mighty activities which are imperative for you. Will you use them and be free? The choice is yours, he says, beloved ones. There we have it. So this is balance as a service to life. And this, it says, to children of God who walk the path of life and in that journey seek purpose for their being, greetings. Service is the law of life. From the moment individualization takes place, the flame begins to accept the responsibility to give a balance to the universe for the privilege of drawing breath, using life and sustaining a separate existence, by which understanding and illumination bring freedom to the consciousness. As the law of one's being is service, the daily life experience will constantly make it necessary for the individual in some manner to serve his community, his nation, his fellow man. Individuals who do not choose to serve are temporarily taken out of the race of life until they would accept again their responsibility to be conscious servants on life's path. Just as the beloved Krishna said, he just said, service is the law of life. We're here to serve and expand the light. So, and this is what they say about the books, and truly it's true. To have those ascended master books is the greatest privilege that was ever given to mankind on the face of this earth. That's from Mighty Astria, from the Ascended Master Light book. And it is true. So it's so important to read the books. Truly, they say in the last chapter of the Magic Presence, read, let those that run read and learn the ways of light while there is yet time, because we are in this cosmic in-breath. So we need to quickly learn these laws and apply them. And then one time the great divine director came through Norman, he said, run, 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 read, read, read. So there we go. There's only one thing in this universe that can surround you with limitation, and that is accepting the outer appearance instead of the mighty active presence of God in you. And that's just priceless words. We've got to always keep that in mind. So what your attention is upon, you become, and where your attention is, there you are. This is such a simple statement, yet it is the key to the power of the universe. That's Saint Germain. It truly is, because we become what we place our attention upon. This came through Norman one time. It was very interesting. We were sitting in a coffee shop and he said, oh my gosh, he said, I've just had a completely different experience. And he said it came from his own iron presence. And his own iron presence clearly said to him, I am you and you are me. I am in you, you are in me, and we are one. So that's a very important kind of realization, to realize that we have this mighty iron presence within us and above us, obviously, for the most part, but anchored in our hearts. And the more godly and the more good and the more constant we are, and then the more in a self-control and self-correction and, always self-examination, the more the light will be released to us, because we will be responsible with that light. So the choices we make every moment makes our world and determines our destiny. Controlling our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions is our greatest challenge and brings the greatest mastery and happiness. It does determine our destiny. So it is imperative that these books flood forth to mankind as much as possible, for they contain and hold the explanation and the application by which every human being can set himself or herself free, it is imperative that the people have them for constant use, because the intellect does not retain enough from just hearing the instruction. That's from the Great Divine Director. So that's the great importance. So read, honestly, read the books. They're online. Listen to them. Try and read every day, just a couple of pages. And on the website at the top, it's got the free ebooks little tab. You go down and it says recommended reading. And so they're all there for you to read. It's truly important. This is what Beloved El Morya says. Goodwill is the willingness to minister to those in distress, but in a positive and compassionate way, sinking not into apathy, sympathy, or negative vibrations that lower your vibrations to a point akin to the one in distress. Goodwill is established through invoking every power of your Almighty God I Am and every divine being to whom you know. So it's very important, because sympathy, they say, is actually agreeing with the imperfection. So they always say never, sympathizing is the opposite of what we need to be doing. We need to be compassionate and constructive. So that means we don't feel sorry for people, because we're agreeing with that imperfection, and we're sinking into that same place that they're in, which is not where we want to be. We always want to keep our vibrations high. So this is also good. The future is just a potential. What you think, feel, say, or do makes your future. There is only now, and we know there is only now. Choose carefully where you put your attention. It makes the future, individually and collectively. See only the positive in every situation. I remember we got a message from the Great Divine Director saying, always look for the positive in every situation, because there it is for us to learn. And that's really what we need to do. So freedom comes from our own dedication, constancy, and discipline. And there's really no freedom without it. Because if it wasn't like that, we would have been ascended a long time ago. The ascended masters would have come down here and sorted it out, but for us. But as we know, the realm in need must make the call, and we must then use the information received and put it, apply it. So never miss a day of doing your decrees and meditation, morning and night. So when I send out the final email, I will put a link to daily decrees and meditation, so that you can download those decrees. You can either listen to them on YouTube, but whatever we need to do, it is absolutely essential that we do them. And it doesn't take long. It's not hours and hours of making decrees and sitting in meditation. Not at all. It can be done quickly, but it needs to be done with feeling, with faith, and with calling in that light. Yeah, it's really important. Love and gratitude is really the keys. So there's no other way to free ourselves from the bondage of our own creations of lifetimes and free the life we have harmed, which is really what we really need to do, because if we've caused burdens for people, it needs to be transmuted. Remember that story of Saint Germain, when his inner sight was open before he was ascended, and he saw those light rays going out from his presence, and there was that old farmer sowing seed. Then suddenly that violet flame just surged all around him, and that actual burden, obviously the memory of it, everything was just removed, and he straightened up, and he just ran laughing towards the farmhouse. So there is exactly what happens when we call to our iron presence to release that violet flame for us. So the light sets us free and erases bad habits and etheric records. It erases those bad habits, but we need to call it in, that mighty violet flame. Constant self-control, self-correction, and self-examination are essential. Always at the end of the day, what could I have done better? Did I make a mistake? Not to mull over and feel guilty about making mistakes, because that doesn't help either, because then we sink into a low vibration. We need to dust off our knees, as they say, and then ask our iron presence to set it right, and always try to do better. So that is it. So now we're going to have this last closing invocation. We're just going to get quiet and connect with our mighty iron presence above us and anchored in our hearts, and just give love and gratitude to our iron presence, to the great ascended hosts, to Saint Germain and all the great ones that have brought us These teachings, which can and will set us free if we read and apply them, and help our earth at this critical time. And so we just give deep, deep thanks. And we ask the beloved Ascended Masters and the great world teachers and the ones that have assisted us today to continually charge into us their Ascended Master consciousness, their understanding and their memory. So we always become more and more the presence in action in this lower realm, bringing that lovely light, harmony, peace, positivity, happiness, joy, wherever we go on this sweet earth. And it's always nice to be in the presence of people that are positive and happy. It always lights up a room. And so that's exactly what we need to always be and do. And so we just thank Archangel Michael always for assisting us and protecting us always on our journeys. And yeah, so thank you. And thank you, everybody that stayed and continued with all of this. I'm just going to stop the video now, the recording.